Greetings, all you hunters and huntresses out there. It's Duuz-Diz-Din back with another review of Hunter x Hunter. This time around, it's chapter 390, simply titled Clash. Now, something to keep in mind as we go into this chapter. This is the last chapter before Togashi's latest hiatus, which, all things considered, I think it's a fine enough stopping point. A good amount of things have developed and come about to the point where I'm not surprised he ended up going on hiatus, especially considering his failing health and so on and so forth, which really just notes the issues that go on in Japan with various manga artists. I mean, if anyone out there draws or does any form of art, you should know that art is not something you just do. You have to plan it out, you have to think about it, you have to really, oh no, just know what you're doing from the onset. And it's a lot of work, and a lot of these manga panels will sometimes have a lot of detail and work put into them, and that's an exhausting process. And to do that week after week, almost 20 pages every week, that's a lot of work and effort. And that's a practice that's not even remotely done here in America, because it stuff like that takes a lot of time. At most, like in terms of an American working system, might be able to get two, three, maybe 4 to 5 pages out. So it really shows just how strenuous that the Japanese illustration scene actually can be, and the fact that so many manga artists end up either becoming, disenfranchised with the various publishers they work with, which we saw with Tate Kubo, who worked on Bleach. He ended up just not caring for his series much anymore because Shonen Jump just was not treating him too well. There's Togashi, who has just been, was so just overwhelmed with the way that, Yu Yu Hakusho went, and then when he went into Hunter X Hunter, it just became too much for him as he went along. And then you have artists like Ichiro Oda, who, he does do a lot of good work and he gets it done as quickly and as frequently as possible, but he needs breaks from time to time because it's a lot to have going on. You need to be understanding of the fact that this is a lot of work and it's a lot of time put in. You even have Masashi Kishimoto, who ended up just being done with it after Naruto was finished because, you want to spend time with your families. These people, end up sacrificing a lot simply because of the fact that they have a popular ongoing story, and they end up having no real lives outside of their creations because of that. So, that's just something to keep in the back of your mind when you hear it's going on hiatus. Some people understand that, but newer people to understanding the manga scene in Japan should just be made aware as many times as need be that, sometimes these things happen, and you have to keep in mind that sometimes your favorite manga just might not end the way you hope it does, just because of the terrible situations that a lot of artists are placed under. But, that I've said my piece. Let's get into the actual manga. And what we actually see here is one of Prince Benjamin's guards, Koventobo, who received the coin from Zhang Li Garu, Prince Zhang's guardian spirit beast. And, he just inquires into the very nature of the coin, what it means for him to have one, where it actually leads. And even Zhang himself just kind of inquires into his own ability, and he comes to the realization that it probably only comes underway once he fully hands it out to the entirety of his people. That its real ability and what it can actually do will only come into play once he has actually become crowned king and has been distributed amongst the populace, which is kind of a double-edged sword because it's just like, well, it's great if it has this greater and more fantastic ability later on the line, but, if it can only be activated after you become king, what happens if you don't become king? What happens if you fail the succession war? It's just like, what then? So it's a very interesting situation going on with him, but I can't say I'm too surprised that there would be some abilities that, don't really work immediately. And ultimately, in order to get the ball rolling more or less, Zhang ends up going and seeing the leader of one of the mafia families. Uh, I believe it's Tonfotari. And, they just discuss the fact of what needs to be done later down the line. A lot of just, planning and plotting. Just seeing what needs to be done in terms of, getting the succession war fully going on. Um, or was it Honori Longbao? I cannot keep up with all these characters because so many of them just really do not appear that, frequently. Um, but he is the head of the Jiyu family, who is, currently at war with one of the other families. And he is also the uncle of the various royal families. So it's just all this kind of Games of Thrones-esque, situations. And, he inquires into his uncle. It's just like, what do you know about this succession war? What happened with father? Went under this. He made it out alive and you made it through as well. What exactly went on here? And, he says that he'll try to get some information for Zhang, in order to help get it underway. Meanwhile, he also, what you call it, um, Longbao also tries to get in contact with his subordinates in terms of, the potential war that might be starting with the other family having sent out an assassin, basically, or just unleash someone who's just going around killing their men and disrupting their business. So very similar to what happened with the Chimera. I mean, the York New City arc, you're going to have various mafia families just going at it. And, once again, the Phantom Troops kind of, wrapped up in it because of the fact that they're using the mafia families in order to help them hunt down Hisoka. So we actually see one of the mafia members, the higher ranking of the family, the current family that we're focusing on, Henrik. He gets in contact with two specific assassins for the family who has various abilities, specifically Nen based. And this is Zankuro and Lynch. A young woman and a man who carries around a constant IV bag. And they're going out to basically try to crush the Healy family. And, the families are ready to throw down because it's just blood for blood. If you've ever seen a mafia story, you know that it's just like once another rival family starts kind of showing their teeth and getting a little too ambitious, the other family just can't back down because that shows weakness. They're trying to test you basically, see if you're actually capable, and if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. So the other family will retaliate, sometimes more severe than before, and then it just starts becoming war in the streets, an outright bloodbath. It gets really intense. So we have these three members of the one family, the Jiu family, going up to the third deck of the whale ship, coming in order to, you know, basically just start some shit, more or less. And they're ready to throw down, ready to get some intel. They pass up the guards just to see what they're able to do, and then they, focus in on a few members of the Healy family, who are actually observing them, observing the Jiu guys, and they're just, the Jiu guys know that they're being, basically been made and being focused on. So while Henright goes after the one female who is going beyond where he's able to go, Zancro and Lynch approach her associate who is at a food stand. And, they try to get some information out of him, specifically in regards to the Hilly. However, one of his associate comes up and slices the neck of the one dude, Zancro. And, dude immediately starts bleeding out. And then the other guy kicks the one girl, Lynch, just right there in the stomach, right off the bat. None of the guards really step in because, it's a dispute amongst civilians, and they kind of turn a blind eye to it. Lots of corruption here. So as the two members of the Jiu are, basically being taken down, Heinrich, who followed the one girl, is just like, hey, don't you need to back up your friend? Should you really be chasing skirts? And Heinrich is just ignoring this because he knows that the other two have got it. And he's just like, yo, leave me to your boss. I'm not having any of your shit. Do it and I'll spare your life. And you actually see that the guards are kind of on the payroll of the Jiu. And I mean, I'm mixing up all these mafia families because it's just too much. Oh my god. But, they're basically on the payroll of the opposing force, of the Hilly. So, the Jiu can't go any further. Heinrich gets stopped by the various guards, and he kind of backs off, not wanting to get really involved with the, actual guards of the royal family and the, royalty in general, because it's just like, it's still a guard space and they're still there to keep the peace. So, and the people that they're trying to go after aren't listed as mafia family, as part of the mafia families. So they're seen as normal civilians, so the military is able to step in and protect them where they see fit. Meanwhile, while the Hilly are, taking out the Juyi guys, basically, the one girl, Lynch, was just like, hey, as she's on the ground being confronted by the one dude, he's just like, hey, you should probably help out your boy. And we see the ability of the one guy, Zancro, which is an ability where he's able to basically manipulate his own blood and use it as a form of attack. He takes out the one Jiu guy, no, Hilly. Too much. Ah, man, I'm sorry, it's all over the place. Too many names to keep up with. And then we see the ability of Lynch, who actually is able to strike at the dude, and while asking him questions, his body, his soul basically, is able to tell her the answers to the questions that she has. And, she actually is shown to actually be pretty powerful, because he knocks the ever living stuffing out of the other guy. Meanwhile, the military comes in ready to arrest them, but Heinrich kind of waves him off, being like, "We're going, we won't come back to the third floor," basically tries to pay him off, pass with guns, just like, "Hey, you don't have to use these, it's fine, we go." And, as they begin to walk away, it's just like, Heinrich tells the other two, it's just like, "Yeah, no. The other family just wants blood, they want all-out war, and we will give it to them," as we actually see what Heinrich's ability is, in which he's able to turn inanimate objects into living ones, where he turns the guns of the two guards into snakes that open up their mouths and fire, blasting off the heads of the two guards. So it's showing that the bloody mafia fight is going to throw down, which, if you haven't noticed by the fact that I am stuttering and stammering and just forgetting names all over the place, it's too much to keep up with. I have all the names written down, ready to say it and go over it, but it's just like, I'm like, "No, wait, no, that's not the family, this is the family. No, that's not the person, this is the person. Now this person, that person," because some of these people aren't even freaking named. So it's just too much to keep up with, and it doesn't help that the whole situation with the mafia families is probably the least interesting thing going on in this series. It's just like, now we've got this thing with the mafia families, and it's just like, dude, like, maybe you'll make me care later down the line, but the current list of things that I'm interested in is the Phantom Troop hunting down Hisoka at the top, then the whole thing going on with Kurapika and the various princes, and the mafia family war going on is at the very bottom, because I don't know these people, and at the moment I don't truly care. They might as well be interchangeable. I have no doubt that the various mafia families will end up playing an important role like certain other characters, but the thing about that is the fact that they're being involved with the Phantom Troop makes their mortality rate all the more dubious, because it's just like, you get involved with the Phantom Troop, the possibility of you making it out alive just minimizes so much. And then there's the fact that Kurapika is on the same ship as the Phantom Troop, and Hisoka's on the ship, and we don't know what Hisoka's up to, and it's just like the princes and all the weird abilities they have. It's just like, there are so many other things to be enraptured about. So, I'm expecting a lot of hate on this video, but I don't care. I've said my piece, But hey, tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. Are you down with all this mafia stuff? Are you actually able to keep up with it? It's just like, I don't even know what's going on. I know there's the family that the Phantom Troop is associated with, and I know that there's the family that they're not associated. And beyond that, I'm just checked out, because nothing really important has happened with these guys. They're trying to play it up like they're, these big important players, but it's just like, I know who the important players are at the moment, and it ain't these guys. But Togashi has proven me wrong before and made me care about things I haven't cared about before. So maybe you out there actually do care about some of this stuff. Tell me your thoughts on all of this. Do you like the mafia angle, or are you just completely like, I don't know what's going on, I'm just waiting for the next chapter, which we'll be waiting for a little bit for the hiatus, but we'll see. But if you liked this video and all my rambling, leave me a like. If you didn't, feel free to leave me a dislike and tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me what you maybe loved about the Mafia angle and how they play an important pivotal role in the story, because obviously I'm missing it. And hey, feel free to subscribe for more chapter reviews of Hunter x Hunter whenever those come back again. Thanks for joining me.